welcome to Wake and Jake, myself, Big Baby David. We are both under the weather. Coming off a big warehouse week. I went into the warehouse kind of sick, and now I sound like this. I also lost my voice just from yelling and cheering. No funny business. Feeling better, but definitely almost everyone who came out of the warehouse had some sort of sickness or cold. So that was a fun plot twist on what was a fun blitzball battle, besides everyone feeling bad. The other big event, besides blitzball battle, that's going on in the sports world, World Baseball Classic. BBD made a noise.
Awesome.
Update, I told you pre-show that Mike McGlinchey's going to the Broncos. It's a big contract. 5 years, $87.5 million, 50 guaranteed.
Broncos got Mike McGlinchey. We're in a, I always love doing the where are we at in the sports world, and it's funky. WBC has been a shot of life for baseball fans, and I want to come out and compliment that. But like BBD mentioned, NFL free agency just started, so we're getting some updates on that. We're still waiting for the big quarterback shoes to drop per se. Let's see what happens with Rodgers. We'll see if anything happens with Lamar. I know we ran through some of that. Derek Carr is still on the Saints. We covered that. What else was going on in the sports world? There was another big thing that happened.
We just mentioned the golf. And
March Madness, the golf. So it's this weekend snuck up on me a little bit, work-wise. And, March Madness used to be like... Well, I'll quote our own Dan Canobio, but he basically said, he used to live for it. And yeah, bracket season. Come on. And I think we'll fill out a bracket at the end of this because I was going to wait till Wednesday, but they start playing the Tuesday games.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you kind of have to get it in. Been there. But first, World Baseball Classic. We talked about it on Talking Baseball leading up. We didn't know how into it we were going to be. As the games began, was pretty into it. Had the privilege of watching the Team Australia game with Peter Moylan, and that was awesome. Peter Moylan had just coached most of Team Australia literally weeks ago on his Melbourne Aces.
He was their manager.
He was the manager. He was literally their manager. And so watching them play was pretty cool because, man, Peter had the full scouting report on every one of them. To good degrees and bad degrees. He called most of their hits. He called a pickoff. He said this pitcher will pick off a base runner. He did. He called a double play ball. He was like, yeah, there's a fastball on his hands, it's going to be 2. And that's exactly what it was. So it was pretty wild. He was predicting the game perfectly. So that was a really cool perspective. And then I was fully hooked in when I flipped on Mexico versus Colombia. Yes. And that game was awesome. The intensity that it had is unmatched with high-level, World Series games. Even just, it's the whole conversation of how MLB crowds act and how the Dominican League acts and how the players get to act. And we've seen all these players yelling and screaming coming off the mound. I'm open to more of that. I don't think you can't consistently do it over the regular season, and I guess I'll spin it to my voice right now. I think it works better in the Dominican League because it's a shorter season. So I think you can go crazy, go a little nuts. I think over 162, if you do that to yourself as a crowd, a player, I think you just get worn out. I don't know. I don't think, we saw the Italian pitcher call himself him, obviously. Saw a couple other pitchers freak out on their way off the mound. you're playing for your country. So there's just this weird inert, if that's the right word, I'll let Feo tell me, sense of pride. You're playing for your country, and like you feels like you're playing for other people and like the people you know in your life. So that's how you get more emotion there. And it's just a tighter thing. I mean, you might only play 4 games in this thing, so you might as well let it all hang out. Or if you make a run and you can say our country is the best baseball country in the world, that's pretty exciting. So I've been enjoying the World Baseball Classic. I'm interested to see the next step of it in our United States of America. Familiar. They just caught their first L yesterday to Mexico. So, I mean, we got some border rivalry stuff going on there. And they also got blown out, which is very important because I think we got corrected into runs allowed per out. So I guess that brings in the mercying and things like that we've seen. And man, the U.S. let Mexico put up a big number on the board that they will have to do something. They will either have to do something special in the qualifying stages and put up big numbers against the other big teams in their regions, or they'll need an upset from a Canadian team or a Great Britain team that it's more than possible. I mean, we saw everyone's darling, the Czech Republic. They went out and they won a game, which, I mean, their roster, you know, how do you phrase it the right way? I mean, these are guys that literally, they are not baseball players as their job. That's just accurate.
Their manager's a surgeon. Their ace, I think, is like a woodworker.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So they won a game. So I saw a lot of people doing like, the USA, man, they might have blown it last night, and they may have. And maybe we'll come back and say that in a few days because they don't have their best pitchers. I mean, come on. It's funny. We've spent a lot of time being like, hey, this is awesome. They're rolling out some real dudes, and they are offensively. The USA pitching, because a lot of those guys make so much real money. I mean, they're a pitching staff behind, you know? Waino comes out, and I love Waino, and this is spring training Waino. He's pumping 84. You know, it's what these guys decided to do. I don't think they were wrong in doing it. But yeah, man, I mean, Cespedes Barbecue, they tweeted this out. Scherzer, Verlander, DeGrom, Bieber, Cease, McClanahan, Gallen, Rodon, Nola, Wheeler, Musgrove, Strider, Fried, Burns, McKenzie, Manoah. They didn't mention Garrett Cole, and people got very mad at them for that. But, and, you know, that's part of the list, and there's more to go on that. So, I don't know. I think the United States set themselves up pretty good for if things don't work out, everyone's going to say the pitching, and they didn't do this, and they didn't care. And, you know, for a couple months, we were talking about how they did care, and it was kind of cool they did. The pitching side is so tough because, I mean, hey, any of those big names I just mentioned, as fun as the WBC has been up until this point, you know, if I'm a Mets fan, I don't think I want Scherzer, Verlander really out there. Like, I don't need them dialing it up and reaching back for more when spring training is built for pitchers. That's what we found out. It's one of those things you always knew. Pitchers report early, and you see guys working on their innings, but you also see hitters working on stuff and going the other way in new stances. Hitters need about 2 weeks to get ready for the season. Just to be in the outfield and take swings every day and get your reps in and have enough at-bats that you feel ready to go. It's about 2 weeks. Pitchers need like a month and a half to get to like where they want to be. And yeah, man, I don't know. I think you see some of these other pitchers for other countries from different leagues that they're ready to go. The roster of U.S. pitchers they brought is not their best. It should be better than what they did against Mexico. I know they were saying they mismanaged kind of the back-to-back bullpen day stuff. Let's see how that goes. Let's see how the rest of the tournament goes. I don't think the U.S. is done. I think they'll find something else in the bag, but it's also so funny that baseball is being treated this way. Like, Mark DeRosa, if the USA does finish 3-1, but they lose on the runs thing, people are going to be like, Mark DeRosa, what was he doing managing that team? It's pretty tough. It's pretty unfair. In baseball terms, it's like as unfair as it gets.
Yeah, I mean, a 4-game sample, kind of whatever the record ends up being.
Currently 2 games.
Yeah.
2 games. They lost to a Mexico team. Patrick Sandoval, man. I'm buying that guy. I know Angels pitchers, but he's good. He pitched good against the Yankees. He's got a little piss and vinegar to him. He just took down Team USA. So I'm very much enjoying the World Baseball Classic. I think it's funny, and we talked about it on the episode of Talking Baseball. You've got the weird mix of things and ways you can enjoy it, whether it's the pitcher from the Czech Republic that struck out Ohtani. That's one of those, like, lifetime, incredible, how do we get to this point? That guy's got that forever. It's a cool moment. Sweet. In the, what was the game I was watching? So let's see. Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Mexico, U.S. Give me that full scoreboard. Break me out. Break me out. Is that a phrase? The Colombia-Mexico game. The guy that closed it out for Colombia, Zuniga, he one of these guys, he was throwing 102, snapping sliders. He's on the Cardinals 40 man as like a AA reliever. He looked as gross as you'll see a pitcher look, and with the crowd being electric, that's what I like, and I wonder if that even sparks Zuniga or, I think it'd be even funny, like, if the Cardinals did a trade this year and you saw the third guy in the trade was Zuniga, you wouldn't even flinch. Now baseball fans kind of know who that guy is. Like, imagine if your team traded with the Cardinals and you got, they've been rumored to trade an outfielder. If they get that outfielder and then they get Zuni, you'd bring up that clip and you'd be like, this guy. Yes.
Not scared of the moment.
Yes. We need him. And the end of that Colombia-Mexico game was just great anyways. We had a squibber, went off Urias' glove to end it. Ghost Runner, we're tied in the 9th. 8th and 9th tied. Ghost Runner ends up scoring, which if you're Mexico, you're a little sad, but they also had their chance too. Saw Team Israel get a win like that. Guy Max Manus. Hype. Were you hype, BBD?
Happy for him. Can't say I was able to dive into the game, but it was all good things.
Yeah, I will say I did have another. I made myself laugh with a tweet, but it wasn't particularly a good one. But after Blitzball battle, like 6 days of doing stuff, we had an orientation on Tuesday night, and then we played and cheered for 5 days. To come out of it, and I was like, wait, USA plays Mexico tonight? This is going to be perfect. I'm going to go home. I'm going to watch USA-Mexico. I'm going to get a good night's sleep. And I'm going to be tuned up this week. When I saw the game was at 10 p.m., pretty broken internally. And I know that probably sounds like old man stuff to a lot of you, and that's fine. But it was a long week, and East Coast, West Coast sports, yada, yada. You don't want to hear it. Flipped over after watching the Oscars for a little bit. Kind of a snoozer. Sorry to all my Oscars fans. I don't know. I need a little more performance-y. I need a little jazz it up a little bit. Hugh Grant, funny. I had a weird realization with Hugh Grant. He was kind of the rom-com guy a little bit when I was young. Still is. He's always kind of been funny, and he brings it to award shows. I get it. Charming. Accent. Could play
He's-
for Great Britain in those shitty uniforms.
True. He's been in one of those like kind of bad HBO dramas
Sure.
that like
Oh,
everyone
yeah.
got sucked into.
What
I'm
was
blanking
that?
on which one.
The divorce one or the
Yeah.
someone killed somebody.
Yeah, someone yeah.
That was a big
One
one.
of our group chat got pretty into that one.
I mean,
and
I
it
think
has,
he
like,
was like
such
the
a bad
number one
ending.
suspect the whole way.
Yeah.
And the plot twist was like he did it.
It's
And
exactly
everyone
who
was
you
like-
thought. All right.
And I was like, what? You're set up for a plot twist, and then it wasn't there. Long story short, I'm into the World Baseball Classic and what it's doing.
I was excited for the USA game. I had a similar 10 o'clock realization, flip to FS1. And I got excited a little bit, got a little bit of the mojo back when it was Venezuela, Puerto Rico coming up. And then Venezuela just gets out to a huge lead early. Glaber not even in their lineup. It's like, oh. So I had to turn away from that. But
Yeah, it's in a weird random way, my Italians, Nicky Cass, Stan Canobio's Italians, they're a fun story. They're moving on to the next round. I guess we're still like a round and a half away, because I think the people who are advancing from these regions, they then play, and then we come to the U.S. Like, I was excited. I was like, wait, is Team Italy going to be playing in the U.S.? But I think they're going to be playing Japan in the Tokyo Dome. I got to double check that. I don't think that's right, actually. I don't know. I'm in it. And right now, what you're hearing me at the final part of this is doing a chicken dance between, do I want the U.S. to kind of get kicked in the nuts so next time the better pitchers go? Or do I just want them to move on in advance? I think I want them to move on in advance. I mean, it's not like we have college pitchers in this. It's not old school.
they're still like quality MLB guys.
Yeah. So let's figure it out. Get over the loss to Mexico. Win big, score some runs, hold the other team. And I think you land up in an okay spot. If they do lose, man, people are going to be hot in the streets, huh?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, and you look at up and down the box score, ultimately, they got killed by the guys who are also real major leaguers. It's
Right.
not like they got just slapped
Mexico's
around by
good.
randoms. Randy Arozarena went 3 for 5. Joey Meneses was one of the stories of the second half.
USA played Mexico a lot. Mexico would win a chunk of games. They're a good team.
They're a good team. Sandoval's a real pitcher.
Jose
They've got
Quintana will miss at least the first 3 months of the season.
3 months. Wow.
So there's a big injury. Just saw that tweet from Shea Station ad. Go check them out. And happy for Joey Meneses, I guess.
Always.
He hits. He
Was
hits.
at a time teammates with Trevor Plouffe.
Forza. Italy. Forza. That is the World Baseball Classic wrap-up. I like it. Go USA, because I don't want the finals to be in the U.S. and they're out, and then everyone's all pissy about it. Just being biased. That's all that is.